There's so many people out there that would look at you right now, coming out with this movie and having the career that you have, that would say, okay, Billy, how do I get where you are? How do I achieve what you've achieved? And one of the things that you've done that I'm a big believer is that you took control. There's so many people that say, well, I'm just going to put myself out there as an actor, and I'm going to put my headshot out there, and I'm going to go to auditions. And it's a very passive way to approach this business. And I was always comfortable with anything that where I could use some of my abilities to control the situation a little bit, as a writer, as someone who could think of something for myself. And I look at you and I think you, with Billy on the Street, and because you existed at a time of, social media, YouTube, you were able to create something yourself that gave you all these other opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I started out, I went to Northwestern. I was a theater major. I just wanted to be kind of a typical actor. I never even thought of myself as a writer or a comedian. Then I got to New York. I grew up in New York, and then after college, went back to New York to start my career, quote unquote. And, there's millions of people trying to be actors. And I realized very early on that if I just stood in line waiting at this open call with hundreds of other actors for like the regional tour of Brigadoon or whatever it was, which I didn't even want to do. Although shout out to everyone in the cast of the regional tour of Brigadoon. They're wonderful.
I don't want to do what you're doing, but shout out.
Yeah.
I find the way you've spent your life a waste of time.
That's not what I said.
Here's your props.
That is not what I said. But it's just not what I wanted to do.
Yes, yeah.
And
a never-ending purgatory. No, I'm kidding. Please, this is on me now, not on you.
No, seriously, I love the current touring cast of Brigadoon. No, I don't know if that's even touring right now. But I'm not here to talk about Brigadoon.
Let me get this straight. So Billy's new movie is called Brigadoon. It's about a magical land. Wait a minute, I got that wrong.
So I basically started to write for myself, and I was good at it. And I had a live stage show that I did in New York, which is where the Billy on the Street videos started. I would show those videos on a screen. This is before YouTube even existed. This is like 2004, 2005. But then an interesting thing happened where a lot of folks in the industry would come and they would acknowledge that I was talented, or that they thought I was funny, that the audience was laughing a lot, that I was unique, and this, that, and the other thing. But it was always, we don't know what to do with you.
Right.
Or you're very New York. And a lot of times in both overt ways and subtle ways, I was sent the message that I was just too gay.
Yeah.
Right? I was being openly gay on stage. I was talking about gay sex. Now everyone's talking about gay sex.
Right.
But this is 2003. Right?
This is back when you were losing roles to dinosaurs.
Exactly. Dinosaurs were fucking on screen, but I wasn't allowed to. Okay.
Brontosaurus on Stegosaurus was fine.
Yeah, that was fine. A lot of fanboys jerking off to that. But two actual humans having sex, who happen to be men, was alienating. So that message was sent to me many times. But then what happened was the internet came along, and I put my videos online, and after a little while, they went viral and very viral. And I was able to point to all of those people in the industry and say, hey, I'm not to this or to that. This video has millions of views.
Right.
These views aren't coming exclusively from gay people watching in New York City. Look at the comments. They're coming from all over the country and all over the world. And that's when they finally put me on TV. I needed those numbers to point to and say, hey, I have proof that I am not this little niche thing that you assume I am because I'm gay.
Do you ever think about, let's say somehow there's a wrinkle in time, and you're born in the 30s or whatever, you come of age in the 40s or 1950s, and you have all the talent and ability you have now, but there's no internet, there's no there's no YouTube, there's no way to you yourself take control. Do you know what you would have become?
I don't know. I think about that all the time, and it's just, And that weighed really heavily on me during the movie. And if you see the movie, I don't want to give it away, but I do speak to this at one point. You know, I'm 43 years old. So when the movie comes out, I'll be 44. So I'm kind of in this interesting midway point between a generation of LGBTQ people and gay men specifically who really saw the world change. Like when they grew up, it was such a repressed time. A lot of them probably can't even imagine the world that we live in today. You know, even though there are still problems and we're still fighting for our rights still, the evolution that has occurred is really remarkable, right? They lived through the AIDS epidemic. There's a lot to unpack there. Then you have a younger generation now, and you see them all over the place of LGBTQ people and Gen Z, queer kids, which is amazing. But they stepped into such a different world, such an evolved, accepting world. And again, a world where, thanks to Clarence Thomas and other like fucked up homophobic, you know, self-loathing weirdos, like we're still fighting for our rights and our rights are still very fragile. But again, that generation, a lot to do with the internet, you know, came of age in a time when, you know, things were, if not easy, a lot easier. And I'm kind of weirdly perched in between these two generations that have had a very different experience being LGBTQ. And I wanted the movie to speak to that in a way, because we need to acknowledge, and by the way, I'm making the movie sound like fucking, you know, Out of Africa or something. Like, it's like, it sounds so fucking serious. This is a funny Judd Apatow movie, everybody. It's dinosaurs, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, it's everything you want it to be. But just speaking about it seriously for a moment, because it is a historic movie, you know, you do have to acknowledge those generations of people, and Hollywood, especially an industry which has so often patted itself on the back for being progressive and gay friendly, quote unquote. You know, it's a cliche to say that like everyone in Hollywood is gay, you know, that it's this progressive lefty, you know, culture. But really, when you look at the actual history of it, just voting for a Democrat doesn't mean that you are treating LGBTQ people correctly on the day-to-day. And what you see in Hollywood are generations of actors who were stuck with one of two choices: be incredibly bold and come out of the closet publicly and have your professional dreams disappear. Because Hollywood did not give opportunities to people. They did not believe gay could play straight. They did not believe gay people that the majority of the audience wanted to see gay people at all. They made people uncomfortable. If you did get a role, it was horribly stereotypical. You were the butt of the joke, and that was for many years the best you were going to do.
Right.
Or you had to live some Rock Hudson style life, where if you wanted a big career as a movie star or TV star, especially if you wanted to play straight roles, which were the only roles that really existed at the time, you had to live this weird double life. Pretend you were dating women publicly and then secretly live your secret gay life that you were not supposed to talk about. You know, that you could go live in some weird gay enclave somewhere when no one was looking, when the cameras weren't on. And I can only imagine that's the best those guys could do. That's what they were offered. Like, those were their choices. But what horrible choices to have to make.
Yeah.
Right. And now I don't have to make those choices. Right. And Bros is really a moment to celebrate the fact that we have come a really long way, that the entire movie is made up of openly LGBTQ actors, the entire cast. It's a first. This movie is a first in many ways, and that's one of them. And that's, when you look at the history of it, you know, a 20-year-old queer kid now who may not know the history may say, oh, all right, well, I see gay people everywhere. They're all over my phone. They're all over TV. But if you know the history of Hollywood, especially major studio filmmaking, that is huge. That is a huge moment.
It's very hard. I mean, and also I think you're making the point, and I would agree that it's impossible to expect someone who's 20 or 22 today to completely understand, because they just haven't lived it.
Yeah.
But so much has changed. You know, I'm a good deal older than you, and I've just watched there be such a evolution in how people talk about, you know, not just the LGBTQ community, but race, class. So many things have evolved. And it doesn't mean we did it, let's all high five each other, we're done. It has to keep going.
Right.
We have to keep, but it is a positive. In a world of negativity, it is a positive perspective to have.
Yeah.
That these things have changed. And young people, today, maybe they can be impatient for it should be better than it is right away. And I understand that. And maybe that's really important. That's the rocket fuel. It's like, okay, you guys think this is, look how far we've come. I don't care about that because I'm 22 and I think this is the least of where we should be.
Yeah.
Which is probably the right perspective.
I do get inspired by that generation, though, because I always thought I was very bold and outspoken. But they really push the boundaries, especially when it comes to sex and being very open about it, and queer sex and gay sex. And I sometimes see what's posted on Instagram from my younger gay friends, and I'm like, wow. Okay.
Oh, so suddenly you're the old school marm.
No, exactly. No, I'm like...
I don't think that's appropriate at all.
I'm like Mrs. Garrett all of a sudden. And they're like Tootie and Natalie running wild on roller skates throughout the house. And I'm like, girls, I don't know if this is okay. But it is okay.
You're the modern Mrs. Garrett. I love it. I've always wondered, what is Billy?
Yes.
You're the Mrs. Garrett of our time.
It. Yeah.
Nailed it.
R.I.P. Charlotte Ray. We both went to Northwestern, by the way. And if only Mrs. Garrett were alive to see bros, put that on the poster. But no, the younger queer kids are inspiring me. It's like, okay, we can have a few sex scenes and bros, and people will embrace that, and it's actually really fun and exciting, and it's okay. We don't have to be scared of that anymore. And I'm happy. I need that push from that generation myself a little bit.